Okay, guys, well, welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites. I'm your host, CERP, and thank you for hopping on. I am so glad to be here today with these two. This is Coach Stephen Lin and Coach TJ Curry. What's up, guys?
How's it going? Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. So if you guys don't know who these guys are, just a little bit about them. So Coach Steve is a four-time national USA team champ and also national team member, multi-international medalist, and precision team coach. And Coach TJ is a national USA team coach and precision team coach. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. So I really appreciate it. So how you guys doing? Doing all right?
Doing great. Doing great.
So the first question comes out to you guys because your entire world is around TaeKwonDo, and I'm curious because TaeKwonDo affects everyone differently, right? It teaches us how we move, think, how we go about our daily lives, and I know you guys have a lot of great life perspectives to be able to share with us and everyone that's listening and watching on the show. So I guess the first question is, I want to know a little bit about your story. So how does TaeKwonDo come into each of your stories? So Coach TJ, let's go with you first.
Simple, Ninja Turtles. It's the Ninja Turtles that did it. I was 4 years old, jumping off the furniture, kicking around, following Ninja Turtles everywhere. And Ninja Turtles 2 was the one that came out when I was around that age, right?
Yeah.
And the guy that ran the gym down the street was actually the pizza man from Ninja Turtles 2.
No.
Ernie Reyes.
No way.
Yeah. OG Ernie Reyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went over there.
You're the pizza boy.
That's right. Yeah, so that's how it all started. Went down there, they signed me up. Like I said, it was a little guy, 4 years old, and really never stopped from there. Just kept it going. It was just the perfect thing for me. It's really interesting how some things just hook, and I got lucky enough that it hooked at a young age.
Gotcha. So were you watching some of his early, competitions, movies? What was it about Ernie or anything related that, got you hooked?
Yeah, it started off with the movies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Red Sonja? Something like that. He had a few of them, and they had a crazy demonstration team, where they were flipping around and doing all the trick kicks, and that's actually what got me into it as well. Like, I wanted to be the flashy guy. I wanted to learn how to fly through the air and, do all that stuff. And then later on down the line, I kicked somebody in the face, and I liked it. That was it.
Intentionally or not intentionally?
It was intentional. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a story behind that.
Right.
So, Steve?
Yeah, so my story is Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, right? So I grew up watching those guys in general. My dad had a military background, right? So he always he groomed me into martial arts.
Yeah.
And growing up, it was always about just staying hard and just kind of being humble and kind of having that martial artist mentality, right? And like never giving up and always like having that indomitable spirit, if you will. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a very huge component of me being in Taekwondo and my journey in Taekwondo in general. Right. Just even like when I was like 5 years old, I had a six-pack when I was 5 years old, right? My dad used to train me where it's like, I did like push-ups on tile floor, right? He made me do splits when I was like crying, It's like, but he groomed me into this like this man who just like doesn't give up, right? And that's what martial arts is. That's what Taekwondo kind of was to me, and that was like my outlet to almost express myself in that way, right? And it helped me kind of build that like body, mind, and spirit, all three together.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So around what age did you guys, start off, and then from there? When did it become serious for you to actually make it, an actual career?
Yeah, sure.
So, TJ?
Yeah, so 4 is when I started it,
yeah.
Right? And then from there, got my black belt when I was 11.
Yeah.
I was 11 years old, and I was still pretty much into the flipping around stuff. And my dad took me to my first like TaeKwonDo tournament, where it was like the Olympic style fighting. I was probably about 12, and I won my first tournament, and then that kind of got me.
Nice.
That kind of drew it to me, right? And also the 96 Olympics helped as well. The 96 Olympics went down, and that was like the first Olympics, that I remember, watching, all those Michael Johnson,
Yeah.
and watching him dominate on the track, and Dominic Dawes, and watching them gymnasts go out and kill it and do their thing. And the Australian team was really strong in swimming on that year.
Yeah.
That kind of started forming my direction into fighting.
Yeah.
Really trying to,
Where was that at the time?
Atlanta. That was
Atlanta. Yeah, I was thinking of Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Steve?
I started when I was 5 years old. 5 years old, I really got serious in Taekwondo when I was 16, turning 17. Was when I started kind of being more focused on competition and everything. And it was just, before, like I said, it was my dad driving all this, right? It was my dad pushing me throughout the sport and pushing me to kind of be this champion that he was trying to groom me to become. And then slowly that Olympic dream started coming in, right? And rather than kind of doing it for my dad, for my coach, I started evolving into like, I want this for me. I want to be the best in the world. Or I want to be my best self, right, in a sense. And that Olympic dream gave me kind of that vision of being the best version of Stephen Lin I could possibly be.
That pull, right?
Exactly. And that gave me that motivation to kind of push forward. And Olympic is special, right, in general. Like, you go to Olympics, it's every 4 years. People devote their lives to the sport, right, to kind of become the champions that they want to be. So
now, is it everyone's dream to make it to the Olympics? Like when you're in the sport, or is it like how's it different? Obviously, it's different for both of you guys, right?
Yeah. Well, competition like brought me to this, right? I'm sure it's similar with TJ. It was the competition drive that brought him to the sport. But martial arts is you don't have to be in competition to love martial arts, right? Like Bruce Lee used to say, like martial arts is a way of expressing yourself. So you're able to kind of like express yourself physically, right? Move and kind of like TJ used to always tell me back in the day, right? Kind of like be an artist, the mat's your canvas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like kind of like create the artwork that you want to create, and allow yourself to express yourself the way you want to express yourself. And that's what martial arts is. It's an expression. But it's special because it like I said, it works your mind, body, and spirit, right? And a lot of physical training, whether it be boxing or whether it be kind of like even like kind of like CrossFit and all this stuff, a lot of it is like physical, right? It's physical drive. But in martial arts, what do you learn, right? You learn discipline, you learn kind of humility, right? You learn kind of like that indomitable spirit, right? And like you just kind of have that mutual respect for one another. It's a very special environment. So martial arts by no means is purely an Olympic dream, but more so it's something where it's like I think it's a tool to help find a different side of you as a person, right? And also just gives you an outlet to just like express yourself differently in a different way.
Right. So like during this competition, during not actual, when you're in your zone, right, and then you have your competition zone, like what is the preparation that needs to go into it, right? Everyone is different, right? I think, and you can probably talk to this, is that this country is where you have to kind of groom yourself individually. People need to rally against you. Other countries, it's like a very team-oriented, community-oriented. So
like the countries would support you in this sport, whereas like in the U.S. you're independent in a way, right?
Right.
You almost have to be able to find your own coaches, find your own strength coaches, and then build yourself up throughout.
Right. So speak a little bit about that. Like, what did it take, for you guys to kind of, make it to every competition, make it to every match? I'm sure it took a lot. It probably took, your family members, friends, a lot of people rallying against you, and then, from there, say, okay, I can actually do this, and I want to keep pushing forward. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my journey, in order to train full time, and train like a professional athlete, like which they are, when you go international, I couldn't work full time. There was no way, work full time and have to train full time. It just wasn't a thing. So I ended up moving into my gym. So it started off in Richmond, California. El Sobrani is the city next to the little suburb, right? And I had coach, Brian Singer. I ran into him and I was like, hey, I'm gonna come down and train with you guys once a week. It was probably like an hour and a half drive to go to. Fridays, we're gonna go and I'm gonna train. And then he brought it up, he was like, so how do you plan on taking this to the next level? If you're training in the park by yourself and you're coming once a week, how do you, you're right, I don't know. I was like, what do we do? And he's like, just move in. And then when I heard that was just
You're like, wow.
Yeah, done. done. You
Yeah.
know, the situation that I was in, you know, it really gave me a good opportunity to really set the coordinates, you know, and completely, you know, engulf myself in the situation that, you know, ultimately made my reality. You know, so it was a no-brainer for me. So yeah, I lived in the back of a gym for a while. It was like a little closet.
Wasn't the cleanest gym.
No. Yeah, I mean, it was.
Was
it one of those where you have to exchange to live there? You have to like mop up everything and then you clean up.
It was a little bit of a dorm.
Mopping,
It was a dorm. It was a little dorm house. It was,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just in there and training and had everything that I was looking for, everything I wanted, and you know, stuff started to come together. The training partners started coming in, and you know, it was. And looking back on it and saying it now, it's pretty awesome, man. I'm grateful to have these experiences.
Yeah. So it's funny how things kind of come into play, you know, and you have to be at that right moment in time and opportunity. And when you're younger, you don't have this, man, as adults, we feel like we have these thoughts that kind of block us, these self-limiting beliefs, right? And I'm sure, you know, someone older in that opportunity probably would second guess themselves, doubt, and not be, hey, let me just, not be as committed because they would just doubt themselves, right?
Yeah.
But when you're
or
younger,
or they overthink it, right?
right. And when you're younger, you don't have those blockage, you know, you just spring at the moment. So I think it just happened correctly at that time for you.
For me, there was a mindset that I was already kind of creating, you know, and I was kind of biting off of Nike. It made a lot of sense, the whole just do it thing. You know, it's like, you rewind behind that. You rewind, you know, even before that. I started, you know, getting into some trouble. You know, I quit TaeKwonDo for a little bit. Right? I took a little break, and when I took that break, you know, I started hanging not with the wrong crowd because they're still my brothers today. We all grew. You know, I'm so proud of those dudes, man. But we started getting into some knucklehead stuff. Yeah. You know, we was out there, and thank God we didn't get caught up on anything. You know, and it got a little hot one night, and then I just had a compass moment. You know, where I was looking at myself in the mirror and was like, yo, this isn't what I want my destination to be, you know? And then from there, luckily I had TaeKwonDo to kind of take that and be able to completely shift directions and go in this direction. So when I made that choice, it was an all-in thing, you know? It was an all-in thing. And it was just at that time, everything was just like, anything that popped up, anything that was gonna come up, that was gonna like get me going down that road, I was fully, it was on my conscience, and then I was just gonna hop on.
Because you had the awareness of, if I went down this direction of, you know, probably like an alleyway brawl or, you know, doing something just really shady, I don't know how much I could even last, and, you know, is this the right direction? And I didn't know whether you had, you know, proper mentors or, you know, quote unquote coaches, not necessarily TaeKwonDo coaches, but someone to look after you and be like, hey, you know, this isn't really the best direction for you to go. So
I had so many people trying to help, but it had to come from within.
Exactly.
You know, and I love the coaches and my father and everybody, my family that was like trying to, you know, but it had to come from within.
Exactly.
It took that moment, you know, and that's a big thing, those compass moments where sometimes you got to like look at your compass, all right, which direction am I going in? I might need to switch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those come from within for the most part. You know, it's hard for it to come from an external source.
Yeah. Steve, you got something similar? I know your dad.
Yeah, my journey. You know. Yeah, my journey was slightly different than TJ's.
How it prepared you? Yeah.
So, I first kind of like when I made that shift in my mind and kind of having that Olympic dream and wanting to fight for me, I actually went to Juan Moreno's camp. Right, so I went to Juan Moreno's camp, and then he asked me, hey, you should come to Miami and train with me and stuff like that. But I was like, I can't. I'm still a student, right? Is there anyone you recommend in New York City or New Jersey area? And that's when he kind of introduced me to Peter Bordazos, right? And he's like, yeah. So Peter actually he's looking for upcoming athletes to groom and to build up. And it's funny, my dad kind of like he brought me into Peter's school. And imagine kind of like in like remember like back in the day, those Shaolin Temple movies, and like, oh, let's drop your son off, like make him into a champion, you know what I'm saying? And my dad like literally dropped me off, and he's like, he told Coach Peter, he's like, Coach Bordazos, he's like, make my son into a champion, do whatever it takes to make him a champion. Yeah. And Coach Peter literally took that literally, right? He took me under his wings. He was a second father to me, you know. I like similar to TJ, like I had a lot of mentors in the sport who kind of groomed me to make me the man I am today. So like Kevin Padilla, Peter Padatos, those are the two main guys in the sport that were my primary coaches. And they shifted the way I thought, the way I trained, the way I approached life, the way my character was built in general.
Right.
And yeah, and I remember like the first week I was in school, I was actually training in that school. And at the time, I was pretty new to the sport, right? So I wasn't as good, right, in the sense. But what I did have compared to everyone else was that fire, that drive, and that almost like never giving up, right? And that's something that has always been with me because my dad built that within me.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of going to that school.
And that's real.
Yeah.
He does have that. You know, I want it to come from an outside source, right? There is that, you know, when he's training, everything, the intensity is really high. You know, that's why I mixed so well with him, because I know, you know, it's gonna be fire when you get in there and you start training. You know, it radiated, right? And it was a contagious thing. And, you know,
feed off each other.
It's as a coach, now being a coach and looking at the situation as coach, it's rare that you get somebody that has that. If that makes sense.
Why is that rare?
Well,
just for the audience members to like understand.
Just to have it come from within, you know, and that's one thing I want to share with all the students is like, it has to come from within. You know, that's the most, you know, strongest power, you know, is when it comes from within. When it's an external source, then it can only go so far. And with his training and his career, and you know, we were roommates, you know, on a lot of these national team trips, and you know, we'd have all these conversations and everything, and you know, it comes from within on this one, right? So I just got to get your back. You know, have something it come from somewhere else, you know, because it's there, it's real. It's real.
Yeah, man. But it's also like it's genuine, right? And it's a journey, man. I mean, the entire TaeKwonDo, our entire competition life was a complete journey, right? It wasn't about the end destination. It wasn't about becoming a national champion. It wasn't about becoming a U.S. national team member, you know? It wasn't about becoming a world champion. It was it's the entire thing, every step of the way, just it made us into who we are, you know? And we are coaches today, and we are the man we are today because of that journey coming through. The ups and downs, the tears, the pain, the blood, the sweat, like all that stuff combined just creates a different animal. You know, it helps you find a different version of you, right? And that hunger and that kind of like passion, that almost that intensity that Coach Curry was talking about here, I mean, that's how I live my life, right? I mean, that's how I view life in general.
Right.
It's like, and you talk about kind of what the build-up phase of competition was like, right? Like I said, like kind of Juan Moreno, and then bring back Peter Padatos and have that indomitable spirit. I remember going to class and just like, you had all these elite athletes there, right? And I was just like a scrub. I was a scrub just coming in. I was like, but I was hungry. You know, I was like, oh, let's go. And then we'll be fighting the first day. Completely got my butt whooped, you know? I got my butt whooped, like embarrassed, you know? Like almost like to the point of injury. But I came next day, I'm like, Coach, can we fight again? He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, let's fight again. Got my butt whooped again. I'm like, next day, Coach, can we fight again? You know what I'm saying? But you have that, but it creates something in you, right? It's like, I don't care, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can knock me down, but you won't kill me. And that's what the sport taught me, right? Yeah. Where it's like kind of like, I can be knocked down, I can be knocked out, I get injured, but you will not put me down. You will not hold me down, right? And that carries through in life. You know,
like you come back, you keep coming back.
You know what I'm saying? It gives you this different type of confidence, right? Where it's like we both had like really, really low lows, right? We both had very high highs too, right? But then those low lows, man, like those make us into a stronger us, right?
Yeah. I think people who are really dedicated in a sport, you know, as you guys are, obviously, you know, it's really about, you know, interplaying that type of principle between the two, right? So we're talking about right now mental fortitude, right?
Yes.
And how, you know, where does it, you know, come from? I think and it's applicable in all aspects of life, right? And how do you apply that, you know, in the sport and in your personal life? I think and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's hard to separate the two, you know what I'm saying?
Very hard to separate
and you need to be able to use it between the two. So, you know, talk a little bit about like how, you know, for athletes, young athletes, you know, either in TaeKwonDo or, you know, not in TaeKwonDo, still athletes, and people just hungry in general, how do you go about developing that? Where does it come from? You said that it comes from within, right? But where, you know, where is that potential? How do you bring it out, you know, so?
I have a perspective on that. It's gonna get kind of deep, all right? So our minds, our imaginations is infinite. Okay, it's infinite. You know, we could imagine the craziest things. You know, the things that make sense, things that don't make sense, right? So what that means is we have a source in our imagination, in our mind, right, in our subconscious, all that stuff to create that infinite source to create from. You get what I'm saying? So what you got to do is, you know, be as specific as possible. You know, go in and visualize it, see it, feel it. Don't just feel it, don't just see it. You want to everything. You want to embody it, right? To the point where you get emotional when you think about it. You know, to the point where you think of like your family, how they see you, you know, with this vision, right? That you get, how other perspectives of people that you love, you know, like your mom, how does she see the situation that you're in? Your dad, you know, how do you look when you're in that position that you're creating, right? But how do you feel? How do you breathe? You know, and just make it as detailed as possible, and then from there, just be. The thing is that people try to do all the time is they try to make a goal, you know. And I said this the other day on my Instagram. It's funny that I'm bringing it up again, but you know,
but I think we need reminders, right? We need to constantly reinforce that, right?
Yeah. People, you know, they come up with goals, and goals are great. You know, my goal is to do this. I would like to go and, you know, do that. I want to be over here and whatever it is, right? But the problem with that is it's a separate destination. You know, when you do that, you're always going to be chasing something. And when you're chasing something, it's not the reality. You know what I'm saying? So when you say just be, it kind of like, in a weird way, like teleports you into a new reality. You know, so me moving into that gym, right, was a version of me. All right, I need to train full time, right? I need to be a full-time athlete. I need to be all in, you know. What I was doing before wasn't going to do it.
Dedication, yeah.
Just be, you know. And then from there, as soon as I made that happen, you know, everything in my reality just started to shift. Everything started shifting. Like I said, you know, training partners started coming in. You know, the team that I had, you know, everybody just kind of locked in, and things literally just kind of, it just happens, right. You know. And so that's a huge thing, you know. My Instagram, you know, you always see it. You know, you hear the kids yelling "Just Be." You know, that's like almost a motto, you know, for my life.
Mantra.
Yeah. It's almost like a mantra for my life, you know, and really that's what I'm trying to, you know, spread with athletes. You know, maybe their goal isn't to be an athlete. You know, I got a you know, my adult group that I have, you know, and we're doing a kind of strength and conditioning for combat sports, you know, and really trying to get, like, you know, kicks dope and, you know, get them, you know, moving there, using their hand. But the whole thing is just like trying to just share that thing of just be, you know, and just do it, you know, just be.
I think, you know, throughout the years for myself, and, you know, I come from a medical, you know, career and background. It's like, and I've had coaches in my own life, you know, as well. And it took me a very long time with differentiating between the concepts of being and doing, right? And I think as a society, you know, we are constantly doing, but sometimes we don't ask ourselves to what end, right? And, you know, we're really obsessed with just being busy, but not actually being effective or actually productive. But I really resonate with what you're saying, because being is it's a different, you can't really intellectually just know it, you have to actually experience it. And once you experience it, you can get back into that flow. You know, it's like being present, right? You know, most people are either in the past or either in the future, always worrying and always relishing on something, right? But just being is really being in that flow and, you know, actually without thinking about it mindlessly, quote unquote, just getting into that flow and achieving what you want to achieve, right?
There's a certain ownership that goes into it as well. You know, like you walk differently, you talk differently, all the moves that you make, because you're just being, you know, it kind of, it shifts. It causes a shift.
Like the way I see it very simply, right? It's kind of like the idea of just be, but the whole idea is almost like finding your why. What is your why, right? Because like, you're going to have rough times. You're going to have times when you're like, when you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. and do your road work, or you don't want to like go to TaeKwonDo class, or you don't want to like do your video studying, or you're tired, or you want to go out. We have to ask yourself, like, what is my why? You know? And then if your why is bigger than that hard work, then you have something to carry you forward, right? And then when that why slowly evolves into who you will be, right? And then that just let's live it. Let's just live it, you know? And I think being a champion isn't just a medal, right? Isn't just about going to competition. I think being a champion is a way of life, you know? It's a way,
mindset.
it's a mindset, right? It's a champion mindset. And I'm big into just details, right? Having this, focusing on the small, minor details in your life. And very simply, kind of, if I were to say, what are the biggest things you can control? You control the start of your day and your end of the day, right? The start and the end. So the first hour of your day you control, the last hour of your day you control. The middle of that, you have to maybe go to meetings, you have to go to classes, you're gonna have all these jumbling things happening all happening all over the place, right? But if you can take full control over the moment you wake up, don't look at social media when you first wake up, you know? Why start that reactive type of mindset, right? Put your phone away, fold your bed, accomplish the first thing you need to accomplish, right? Set that mindset of being a champion. You know, you accomplish that first thing, that first step. Don't press snooze 5 times. You wake up immediately. You don't press snooze 10 times, 20 times, whatever, you know? When that first alarm goes up, you get up.
Get up, show up,
Get
right?
up, yeah, you get up, all right, let's tackle the world.
Yeah.
You fold your bed, you brush your teeth, you have a productive morning. You control that first hour.
Yeah.
That last hour, you need to meditate, you need to say your prayers, you need to kind of take a shower and just kind of get yourself calm and collected, maybe kind of reevaluate your day. You know what I'm saying? Those first and last hours, from a practicality standpoint, is the biggest things you can control.
There you go.
So I'm big into just like focusing on small details in your life in order to groom you into a champion, right? So it's like, people think that you have to just train hard, and you come to class, you train hard, and then you become a champion, right? Or whatever it may be. But it's not that.
Yeah.
It's every moment of your life. You know, like you live, breathe, and you become, just be, like Coach Curry said, just be that champion, right? And you have to live every moment you walk. You have to walk, make it. I'm the greatest. You know, you walk up tall. You carry yourself as a champion, right? And even in front of your friends, in front of family, in front of your teammates. You go to work, your day job. You carry yourself differently, right? And then when you step in that ring, you become someone differently, right? Because every day of your life, you're already living it.
Yeah, I think a lot about what our society is now is creating facades, right? And what you guys are, conveying is owning who you are, right? But a lot of who you are has to go through the testament of time and testament of, different experiences, like yourself moving into that gym or training in that park. With you, it's your, father and your coach, Pete, and getting knocked down like several million times, you know what I'm saying? So, so in terms of, tell me about through your competition career, like give me your like lowest of lows and then extract a lesson that you guys extracted during that time.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Sure.
I know it might not be easy.
You're gonna bring back tears on this guy.
But you know what? It's the tears and it's the blood, sweat, and tears that made you the man who you are, right?
I'm grateful for it. No, for sure. I went through a stretch of injuries. That was pretty. I mean, I had so many lows, man. That I got. Yeah. Which ones do I pick from?
Yeah, me too.
You know, I mean, like, I went through a stretch of injuries, right? Which was the first one? It was during the 2012, like, it was like, they had a stretch of, you remember when they had all those team trials? There was that one nationals. There was a nationals that you went to. If you win the nationals, you get into all these team trials and stuff.
Yeah, back-to-back team trials.
Yeah, and so it was like, there was the Olympic trials, there was the Pan Am Games trials, there was the Pan Am Championship trials. There was like all these things that was just like bang, 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 making all these teams. And I was fighting, one guy jumped up, kicked him in the face, and fell down, and I landed with my arm extended like this, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but then I dislocated my bicep. All right, so my bicep detached, and it was crazy. Pretty bad pain, had to go in, they had to go and reattach it. I was like, dang, okay, injured. Next tournament, right, I was able to come back, right? This is the Olympic trials. I was in and I was fighting Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, what's up, bro?
What's up, Brian?
I was fighting him, and then I threw a kick, and then I hit at the wrong angle. Pow! My knee snapped. All right, it was my meniscus and my MCL gone. My leg was all unstable, and I was like, oh. So I had to go back and deal with surgery on that. Right. Yeah. And then in training, it's when my got kicked by Phil. He's another one of our brothers, right? Another shout out to Phil. What's up, bro? But got kicked. Boom, my hand is like, you can see it, right? It popped inside, right? And had to get that redone. And all this was like back to back to back to back, right? And then, I was trying to train, My body wasn't right. I was compensating all over the place, ended up pulling my groin, right? Then I had to miss out on some events because of that, right? And then I finally had a run where I could kind of muster myself, get back in the ring. And I went in, boom, got knocked out, right? And that was like the exclamation point at the end. You know, ran into a big kick, boom, great shot. You know, it was great on his part. Walked into it, and after that one, I was like, dang, man. Like, I know I'm good at this, but I don't think I'm built for this. I was like, I got my body's all breaking down, and you know, and this is just one of the downs, right? But you know, the amount that I was learning, you know, throughout all these injuries, you know, I learned to kind of, because I was really physical, you know, through all these injuries and everything, I started to learn to tap into the intellectual a little bit more of the fight game, and I don't think if I didn't go through all those injuries, I don't think I would have had that time to kind of. So I mean, there's silver lining in everything. You know, but yeah, I went through a stretch of injuries.
But you have to actually seek out that silver lining, right? It has to come to you. You have to, you know, be aware of it, because if it's not, then you're gonna take those experiences and, you know, think negatively from it and not pursue further, right?
It could beat you down.
Yeah, I also don't think you're giving enough gratitude. You're not appreciating kind of like. I don't think people understand kind of like. When you're living it, right? Going through those type of injuries is not easy, you know? And like your mental, you know what I'm saying? Your mental state, your physical state. I'm like, to chase a dream like that, right? And go through these broken bones, these tears, you know? And just not even be able to function correctly. Like, I mean, that's hard. That's hard to bounce back from. Right? It's not an easy thing to bounce back from, especially like competing at that higher level again. Like, what was it that kind of like pushed you forward, right? What was that? We talk about mental fortitude all the time, right? What was that fire that like, all right, broken hand, let's go. Broken leg, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Knocked out, let's go. You know
I identified myself as what my vision was, and that's who I was.
Yeah.
And then, you know, through all those, you know, hard times and, you know, all that stuff, it was just like, this is the path. You know,
Is it because you wouldn't be satisfied with like the alternative of what you envision? Is that what kept you going, or did you always have that target of like, I just want to get to here, or I want to hit this target, or this is the person I was meant to be, or you were just not satisfied, like there was no plan B. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it was who I was. Like being a fighter and, you know, getting back into the ring and doing the physical therapy, that's just who I was. You know, and there was nothing that was going to change that. That was my identity, you know, and
being a champion.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, that happened, and that's my story. You know, that's just part of my path. This is part of, you know, why, you know, I'm gonna be wise one day. You know,
wise now. So
that's that champion mentality, right? It's that lifestyle that we're talking about. Not even lifestyle. It's just that it's who you are. You know what I'm saying? You can't fake this. You cannot fake being a champion in spiritually, mentally, right? It's like no one, like not someone's gonna be. You're not gonna have someone like behind you every second of the day. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be accountable for your own stuff.
And being a champion is getting smacked on your ass. Getting smacked back onto your ass. You know? You know, but that's what
Constantly.
it is. You're always getting challenged. You're always getting challenged. You're always getting beat up. There's always something that sucks. You know, there's always something that's gonna be difficult. There's always gonna be injuries. There's always gonna be, you know, something happening with like family. There's always that. And that's you know, not even being a champion. That's being a human being.
Exactly.
You know? I think like every competition, you talk about the highest highs, the lowest lows, right, type of thing. What was your lowest low type of thing? So I think, honestly, for me, every tournament was an epiphany that happened, right? Because you had this build-up phase. You know, like every competition, like I always had this like 6-week training plan or 8-week training plan, right, that I committed to. You know, it was almost like a religion for me, right? And then so as you're peaking, as you're kind of slowly climbing that ladder, right? Once you get the competition, like there's something that happens. If you train your body and your mind and your spirit enough, there's something that happens at that pinnacle moment that you start having these epiphanies that kind of like hit you. It may be very simple. Maybe it may seem cliche, right? But there's something deep in you that you just feel, you know? So like for example, like I would say in 2009, right? In 2009 team trials, I told a story before in like our last podcast that we had, but kind of just to reiterate that, and I'll build onto that, right? So it was 2009 US team trials. I was considered the underdog at that time, right? We had 2 veterans, which are Anthony Bell and Chris Martinez. Shout out to you guys. They were fantastic fighters, right? They accomplished a lot within their careers. And it was their time to shine. You know, their time to go to world championships. The community saw that, right? So, but in my eyes, a very simple epiphany that happened, that build up phase, right? So when I was training, I was like, I had this mentality where I'm gonna try to kill myself in this training. Can I die from this training, right? But then like you kind of push yourself to that limit where it's like, I can't die, you know? And that gives you that inner confidence, you know what I'm saying?
Like
so
just on that edge right
on
there.
that edge, you know what I'm saying? Well, I would go 100%. I'll go to the point where I'm throwing up all by myself. I'll be going on runs and I'll be puking everywhere. No one's around me. I don't need to tell anyone that I'm doing these workouts, right? It was for me. It was who I was, right? And then like, so just building up to that, building that indomitable spirit, right? And then I had this like, almost like this vision, like obstacles, right? Obstacles are meant to be overcome. Like I'm big into my faith. I'm a strong Catholic in itself, right? I'm a big Christian, so it's kind of like I believe that God placed obstacles in front of you because you're meant to overcome them. You have this strength to overcome any obstacle that's in front of you, right? And so going into that, I'm like, all right, like give me the giants. You know what I'm saying? Like give me the hardest bracket you can give me. You know, give me the most difficult situation you can give me. You know, and I'm meant to do it. I am designed to overcome these challenges. I was created to overcome these challenges, you know? But you have to almost, it's not like a brainwash, but you start developing that as you're peaking, as you're reaching that pinnacle point.
Right.
And then that epiphany I'm talking about, right, was almost like when I was at the tournament, it was almost let it go. Let it go, right? Let it just be. Understand that you can't control anything or anyone around you, but you have full control over you and yourself and your own actions, period, right? And that simple epiphany made it a true reality, right? Whereas like I had like multiple deduction points throughout that tournament, and I almost got kyungdoed out. I almost got deducted out with my final fight, but it didn't bother me because I was like, you know what? Like number one, obstacles are meant to overcome.
Yeah.
So that peak gave me that mentality. Number two, like let it go. You know, give me the hardest bracket. You know what I'm saying? Well, I have no control over what the referee does. I have no control over what the crowd is doing. But let me just control what I control. I'm gonna block everyone and anything out.
Yeah.
Right? And so having these small little epiphanies, and because you start evolving, you know, when you train yourself to a different level, like you evolve into a different person.
Yeah.
And like each turn becomes a different type of epiphany. Like for example, in Korea, I fought in Korea. I got bronze in Korea Open. I went to semifinals. I remember it was the day after I fought, right? And it was kind of like I fought Iraq at that time, and I was almost happy. I was happy that I was in the medal rounds. You know what I'm saying? I was happy in those medal rounds, and then what I was doing and what I realized looking back at it, I was like, I was fighting not to lose versus fighting to win, right? So it's a slight change. If you fight to win versus fighting not to lose, it's two different things, right? Like if you fight not to lose,
just to kind of stay in it.
Yeah. You're fighting not to lose. Like, all right, I'm gonna be cautious. I'm gonna be second guessing. I'm just keep trying to save it, you know. But you're fighting to win. You're putting on that show. You know what I'm saying? You bring in that juice, you know. And then so like that's that lesson learned. My next Korea trip when we fought Incheon Open, right? I was like, that epiphany happened because that peak happened. I was like, let yourself be great. Just let yourself be great. You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of times like in life, or because like sports in a lot of ways isn't life, but it's a lesson for life, right? It's a teacher for life. So it's just kind of like letting yourself be great, and just kind of like going out there and not second guessing yourself. If you're gonna go, you put 100% into it. If you fail, you fail, right? But why hold back anything? So that simple epiphany when I reached that semifinals, I was like, it was very simple words echoing in my head. Let yourself be great. And then that tournament was honestly an awesome tournament where I ended up winning that tournament, and I ended up getting kind of athlete of the year that tournament as well. You know, and that was a trip that we went to Korea, and that was an awesome trip actually.
Yeah.
And end to end, it was an awesome trip.
Yeah. I think I can relate because, you know, I've been doing like marathons and triathlons since like 2006.
Yeah.
And when you're training for things like this, you know, you're going through like a runner's high is what we call, you know, and you have these moments of, man, I just enjoy what I do, and the entire world just melts away. So you would probably say like during your competitions or when you're on that stage, you know, or on that, you know, floor,
It's magical.
you're just letting everything go. And when you say just just be. It's like literally surrendering
Yes.
and not even caring about what just happened up until that point.
Yeah.
You're literally there in that moment. And I think that's where the magic comes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know, things, like you guys have advanced so much in your career. So shifting gears a little bit,
Sure.
what has started, Precision, for you guys? Obviously, your experiences, coming together, and your individual journeys as well. What is the story behind it? How did it come to be?
Yeah, so the gym was in Richmond. Then the gym ended up moving to Oakland. The coach, Coach Brian Singer, he had an opportunity in Texas. Not too many people at this time was fighting, and he did his coaching thing, and huge opportunity in Texas. He went to Texas, and I asked him, I was, hey, let me keep the reins on it. Let me see what I can do with it. And luckily him and Elva, they were together, they're business partners, and they released it to me, right? And it was just a big thing for me because fast forwarding to the 2016 Olympic trials, I was doing some work, traveling all over the world, and I was getting some success and fighting really well, and long story short, ended up not making it into the Olympic trials, right? And for me, that was such a shock. It was such a shock. It was a huge blow, right? And being able to have my athletes to work with, really helped with me because, like I said, I was running on all cylinders, felt like, I was in a good running to go in there and do some dirt in this Olympic trials. I was having everything locked in, and when I got cut out of there, I was like, oh, Precision pretty much saved me right there. There was another time where TaeKwonDo was that I had a safety net, of having these athletes that I'm working with, and it really helped. It really helped with that transition, And another thing, I had Precision going, and I was still fighting. My last tournament I fought was it was the President's Cup, which is a big international tournament, and I was still, I because of the Olympic trials thing that went down, I was like on a rampage. Right, my intentions going into training was I want to prove to everybody that they made the biggest mistake. And I started training out of anger.
Right.
It wasn't love for the sport. Right, I mean I love training. I love it. Right, but it was more out of vengeance, and I'm going to prove to everybody. And what happened with that was I went too deep. I was like training with my brother Mike Salemi. He's a great athlete. We were doing kettlebells inside of like altitude domes, trying to get that altitude work, and then after that I would go hit the stairs, just trying to get springy, running up the stairs nonstop, hitting sprints. And then from there I would go and train with the team at night. And then this stuff would just vary, and we were just going all over, and I was hitting, and I was doing too much. And then I ruptured my Achilles, bang, right? And it was just like, okay, who am I? It was like one of those moments was like, I kind of lost everything, and I had, the only thing that saved me, right, Precision kind of saved me, and luckily, I also have Kim, my fiance, she was a huge part of getting Precision going and, making sure everything was like squared away and everything was sharp and, yeah, those two, really, really helped me as a person. Having Precision there to kind of have that outlet, and her to really help manage the situation and get everything going, and so. Yeah, I was getting back in shape after my Achilles, and then I just kind of had a shift. I started working with these young athletes, and kind of fell in love with that. And fell in love with working with these athletes and realizing that I could just kind of let it go. What happened back then and, all that stuff doesn't have to stick with me. I could fly like an eagle. I could be in the moment and still, have this vision of myself of, really is greatness, but have this vision of myself and just be, even if it's not in getting in the ring and fighting.
Gotcha. So, we were talking about this like in the last, episode interview that we had about teaching these young athletes and being a mentor, right? So what is it like to teach these athletes as part of kind of like a shift in path of your career now?
Yeah, so I think being a mentor, like I said in a prior podcast, isn't about self-interest, right? A lot of mentors, a lot of teachers, they try to create their students and almost make them into another version of them, of who they are, right, in a sense, or make them do things the way they would have done things in the past. Whereas I think our culture here in Precision is a community, right? It's almost like it's a community where we all collaborate and we all learn together, and it's not about creating another TJ, right? It's not about creating another Stephen Lin, right? It's about almost creating a best version of who they are. It doesn't have to be Olympian, doesn't have to be a national team member, right? Who's the best version of you, right? And almost having them being like coachable, but not coach dependent in a sense, right? So you want to have people who are able to listen, able to have respect of seniority, right? But you don't want them to be dependent on you only, right? So you almost have to create an environment where it's like which is why even at the end of our classes, what do we do at the end of the classes?
Chant that just be.
Yeah, we chant that just be, but what else do we do? We have that we have circles and we ask them questions, right? We ask the students questions like, hey, what did you learn today? You know, what could you have improved today? And then we would kind of share our perspectives from that viewpoint as well. Because it's not like we're egotistic, right? We're not gonna be like we know everything and anything, right? We're also, as they're evolving, we're evolving.
Exactly.
We're constantly growing.
Key, yeah.
Yes, the feedback sessions are key. And making that consistent, right? Making that consistent where it's like, hey, like, yes, we can share ideas, but I want you to come with ideas as well. I want you to start because like I said, martial arts is what? Is an expression, right? It's an expression of you. So it's personal for anybody, right? Martial arts, TaeKwonDo, I mean, the way he fought and the way I fought was very different, right? But also very similar as well, you know? Like our mentalities and all that stuff. So it's like he had a different way of expressing himself. I have a different way of expressing myself, right? So like every other athlete, you're gonna have your own way of expressing yourself. So we want to help you find that expression, right? We want to help you find how can you best express yourself in almost the best way possible, right? So I think having that, removing that ego and almost having that where it's like, yo, we're all family here, right?
We're all
It's a
together,
family, it's a community.
doing it in a collaborative effort.
We're all here kind of like, we're all here for growth, right? We're all here to be the best version of you possible.
There you go.
Right, so yeah.
So I know we're gonna close out. So we're gonna do a rapid fire round, right?
All right,
so
let's go. Rapid
two things, two tips that you can impart to our young athletes, right now that's listening, or someone that's maybe not in the Taekwondo world and in their own life and careers. Two tips from each individual. What does it take to take yourself to the next level? Someone wants go to that next level mentally or physically or in their sport. Two tips. So TJ, I'll go with you.
Set that intention and just be.
All right. I would say two tips: self-discipline and self-love. So if you love yourself, you would have discipline in what you do. And then secondly, I would say there's two types of suffering in this world. There's either suffering through discipline or suffering through regret, right? So you make that choice. You make that choice, How do you want to live your life? Who do you want to be? An idea of just be, right? It's either you suffer through you kind of grinding and waking up and having that self-discipline, or you suffer through, oh, I could have, should have, would have, right? So in the end, this journey is your own. So you make that choice, and it comes down to a choice. And then once you make that choice, you commit to that choice.
There you go. I love it. So if people want to reach out to you, find you, come and train, here, at the studio, where can they go?
Yeah, you could follow me on Instagram, CurryTJ, at CurryTJ.
Precision TaeKwonDo.
You can follow Precision TKD. We'll put a link up there for you guys.
Yeah, we'll
You
include
can
it.
do the whole, wherever you're gonna be, you can do that.
We do a little pointing.
And we're out in Redwood City. NorCal, Bay Area.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They can always follow my Instagram as well. Stephen T. Lin. Very simple.
Awesome.
Right? So,
All right, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming on. It was awesome, guys. So
let's have a chant though. Let's have a just be chant, huh? In the end. Ready? You're gonna say 1, 2, 3, you, and then we're gonna say just be 1, 2. Okay, ready?
You gotta do it. You gotta put it up there.
1, 2, 3,
Just be.
One more time. Let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, just be.
Yeah.
There it is. All right.
All right.
Cool.
Hey, appreciate it, man.